Pax Christi, Nigerian Catholics. This is a summary of events that have taken place in the Nigerian Catholic space, both online and offline, in the last few days. Now, there's this trending video from the Adoration Ministries of Father Mbaka, and it is a very heartwarming video. A video that is filled with nuggets of wisdom, particularly for the Nigerian Catholic. Yes, Father Mbaka has been known to be a very controversial priest over the last few years, especially during the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari. However, this video is filled with gems of common sense and is addressed to the Nigerian Catholic, the Nigerian Christian who has over the years been inundated with a lot of wrong teaching about the personality of God and how he relates with human beings generally. And so, in this video, Father Mbaka is seen encouraging Catholic Christians to magnify the presence of God and de-magnify the presence of the enemy or the presence of the devil.
So let us not be overemphasizing Satan, demon. We are amplifying demonic existence. Psalm 35 verse 27 says, magnify the Lord. Who takes pleasure in our prosperity?
Now, this video caught the attention of Reverend Father Onyebuchi Ugwu, Reverend Father Kelvin Onyebuchi Ugwu, and of course, he had his own thoughts concerning this video. Now, according to him, Father Mbaka summarized this teaching in one or two words, saying that everything we attribute to the devil or demons is largely due to bad governance and our own mentality of seeing demons in everything. According to Father Kelvin, he says that this kind of mentality definitely needs to change. The greatest witches and wizards in Africa are not what we would call those kinds of witches. The greatest witches and wizards in Africa are bad government and, very unfortunately, a corrupt judicial system. He went on to say that every of our prayer points in night vigils and even in those ministries you go to are what good governance should fix. A lot of the sicknesses we suffer from are from our bad habits of what we eat and drink and even smoke over the years. The devil is usually our excuse. This is why we will kill the devil during morning prayers, still kill it during afternoon prayers, and kill it again during vigils. And then the next day, we'll still repeat the same circle. The most abused phrase in Africa is Holy Ghost fire. Now, everyone who listened to this message from Reverend Father Ejike Mbaka could clearly see and understand that Father Mbaka knows the truth. And from the moment you begin watching this video, the very first thing you notice is the silence in the audience. Absolute silence. They were clearly paying attention, rapt attention to what Father Ejike Mbaka was saying. And in their silence, you could tell that they could clearly understand what Father Ejike was passing across. and they could clearly, in their silence, communicate back to Father Ejike that, look, what you are saying is the truth.
Everything was the demon. When then I demon nihe kita Nigeria nihe na-eme business nke anaghị business when ebo ihe sero yin ike go on ije ebe na sị na ajọ mmụọ niile nọ n'ụwa kechiri shop gị na ga-abịara gị ekpere ọrụ gị ọrụ ezinụlọ ọlụcha ụlọ ezinụlọ subsidy ewepụrụ echi azụ ya Tinubu echi subsidy ya alụcha ụlọ ezinụlọ fuel ahapụ ihe ọ na-adadawazi ihe ọzọ ịmakwa na nke a na-ele 600 bụkwa nke ochie astọkụ ndị ọfọ a na-ebute kịta bụchakwa 900 and something nke a ga-eji na-ebubata ya. Ihe m na-achọ ịgwa gị bụ imewe emume ụmụ ajọ mma na-eme emume gị kesi ha bụkwa hapụ m aka ka m hapụ gị aka. Ọkwa na ị na-eje ụkwụkpọ gị isi ha ajọ ha bịa sị gị na ọ bụ one of us gwa m na even demon of mosquito bịara na be ya na ya mosquito na-atagode na ya dị ya na agbanyere ya mosquito. Ụbọchị m gara na be ha na acharela out ife ụdị gọta gafere ụdị a nnukwute oke na-amapụta n'ehihie otu a ka mosquito si line ya na gọta and be ha n'akụkụ ya no mosquito net na window except not demon of mosquito. Afụsị na ajọ mmụọ ebe ajọ mmụọ na-adịrọ ụfọdụ ihe ndị anyị na-asị ajọ mmụọ amaghị dị maka ya.
Now, of course, Father Kevin also collaborated the same thing when he said that for the first time, everyone is quiet, including all those that said, I am carnal and do not understand the Spirit, just because I have been saying the same thing all these years. I do not think you are doing me or any of these ministers. They all know the truth, even if they don't tell you all the time. If you like, don't liberate yourself, Father Kevin continued. Keep behaving like the 5 foolish virgins in today's gospel who will not borrow themselves sense and plan their lives beforehand. God has given you brain. If you like, don't use it. So clearly, Father Kelvin agreed 100% with what Father Mbaka was sharing. But basically, the point here is this. What Father Mbaka shared in this video isn't different from what Father Onyebuchi Ugwu had been talking about since forever. It has always been the priority Nigerians place to what they think is God's responsibility rather than what they should actually do. In the words of the servant of God, Gabriel Gosum Ganaka, God does the work of God and man does the work of man. God will not do the work of man and man cannot do the work of God. So, the point of all of this is simple. We cannot abrogate our role to God. We cannot take what we should do and what we can do for ourselves and drop it at God's feet. Because clearly, that is not God's responsibility. Our responsibility is to do what we should do. And then when we have done what we should do and what we can do, then God would handle the rest. There's a prayer that says, give me the grace to accept with serenity the things I cannot change. Give me the courage to change the things I can. And give me the wisdom to know the difference. So Father Ejike Mbaka's message encapsulates all of this. And his strong admonition to especially the Southeastern Catholic, is to stop this demon mentality. That everything that happens to them that is bad must be must have happened because a demon caused it.
Everything was the demon. When then I demon ni Kita Nigeria ni na-eme business nke anaghị business when ebo ihe sere onye ike go on ije ebe na sị na ajọ mmụọ niile nọ n'ụwa kechiri shop gị na ga-abịara gị ekpere ọrụ gị ọrụ ezinụlọ.
They don't see their responsibility in what they are suffering. They don't see that the reason they are going through what they are going through is not because the devil was involved. It was because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. They failed in what they ought to have accomplished. They failed in what they were supposed to do. They failed to do what they were supposed to do, and that is why they are facing what they are facing. So, you could say this was a long time coming, and clearly this message went to the ears of those who had listened to it. So, you can pay attention to what Father Mbaka said and draw the lessons from it and implement it, because truly this was and this is a message worth keeping. It's a message worth saving, and it's a message that will continue to ring out for a very, very long time. So we say a huge kudos to Father Ejike Mbaka for sharing with us these nuggets of wisdom. And we encourage him to do more, to continue to inspire the children of God with words of wisdom like this. Alright, so moving on to other news. Of course, the Catholic Diocese of Zaria is preparing for the Episcopal ordination of their new bishop. And as it is the tradition, every new bishop would definitely have a change of habit or a change of garment from what they were used to wearing while they were priests to what they should now begin to wear now that they are going to become bishops. And this was not different for Very Reverend Father Habila Dabo, the bishop-elect of the Catholic Diocese of Zaria. So you can see from the photos that yes, he's beginning to look the part, and it is something that every Catholic is proud to see their priest who has been appointed bishop by the Holy Father Pope Francis wear a new garment or wear a new habit or a new cassock. A cassock that is different or a habit that is different from what they have seen him wear for a very long time. So, Father Habila Dabo has also brought out what is going to be his motto, the motto of his episcopacy. And his motto is in two very powerful phrases: Vita brevis, amor omnia. And that simply means life is short, love everyone. And this short but very powerful motto of Bishop-elect Habila Dabo captures a lot about his life and a lot about his philosophy, a lot about what he believes and what he wants his future flock to also believe, that life is short, and because of that, we are invited to love everybody. Vita brevis, omnia amor, or vita brevis amor omnia, meaning life is short, love everybody. And so I want to once again congratulate Monsignor Habila Dabo, who would be ordained a bishop a few days after the ordination of the new bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Katsina. He will be ordained on a Thursday, and we want to pray for a successful ordination ceremony, and we hope that the Lord will continue to see him through and grant him all the graces that he needs to continue in the work of God. Okay, so moving on from there, as you already know, the Catholic Diocese of Ayera has a new bishop. He's going to serve as an auxiliary to the apostolic administrator of the Catholic Diocese of Ayera. And if you do not know, that person who serves as the apostolic administrator is actually the Archbishop of the Catholic Archdiocese of Owerri. And he is going to be serving the good people of Ayera Diocese as an auxiliary bishop. So, a lot of people might want to ask, who is an auxiliary bishop? An auxiliary bishop is a bishop assigned by the Holy See to assist a resident bishop or archbishop in the pastoral care and administration of a diocese. Auxiliary bishops help and administer the sacraments, especially confirmation, ordination, etc., and often represent the diocesan bishop at various functions. Another key question to ask would be when a diocese needs an auxiliary bishop, and Canon 403 states that an auxiliary bishop can be appointed if the pastoral needs of a diocese suggest it. Again, another key question to ask is the auxiliary bishop of a diocese the vicar general? And the answer to that is yes, he is. According to Canon 406, it states that a diocesan bishop should appoint an auxiliary bishop as the vicar general of the diocese, although this is ultimately dependent upon his own authority. Another question to ask would be, should the diocesan bishop consult the auxiliary bishop? And Canon 407 answers this question by saying that a diocesan bishop is to consult his auxiliary bishop before others about cases of major importance, especially of a pastoral character. The auxiliary bishop, because of his episcopal rank, is considered at a higher level than anybody else. It is a recognition of his episcopal status. The next question to ask is, can an auxiliary bishop carry out ordinations in a diocese? Canon 408 provides that answer when it states that an auxiliary bishop ordinarily is to carry out episcopal duties whenever the diocesan bishop requires it, and that the diocesan bishop is not to assign such duties habitually to anyone else. Now, a very good question to ask again is, does an auxiliary bishop become the diocesan bishop if there's a vacant see in his diocese? Now, unlike a coadjutor bishop, an auxiliary bishop does not automatically hold the right of succession should the ordinary bishop resign or die. But can an auxiliary bishop later be appointed as the diocesan bishop? And the answer to that is yes, he can. The current Bishop of Awka Diocese in Nigeria, Most Reverend Paulinus Eze Okafor, was formerly the auxiliary bishop of the same diocese. Most Reverend Michael Kalu Okpong was formerly the auxiliary bishop of Umuahia and is today the diocesan bishop of the same diocese. Another good question to ask then is, can an auxiliary bishop be appointed bishop of another diocese? The answer to that is yes. Good examples of this include Most Reverend Jonas Benson, who was formerly the auxiliary bishop of Awka Diocese, but is today the diocesan bishop of Nnewi in Nigeria. Another example is Most Reverend Dennis Isuzo, who was formerly the auxiliary bishop of Onitsha Archdiocese, but is today the diocesan bishop of Aguleri Diocese. Again, we have Most Reverend Solomon Amatu, who was formerly the auxiliary bishop of Awka Diocese, but is now the diocesan bishop of Okigwe Diocese. Now, just so you know, there are 6 auxiliary bishops in Nigeria. They include Most Reverend Anselm Umoren, MSP, of Abuja Archdiocese, Most Reverend Patrick S. Eluke of Port Harcourt Diocese, Most Reverend Ernest Obodo of Enugu Diocese, Most Reverend Moses Chikwe of Owerri Diocese, Archdiocese, Most Reverend Christopher Naseri of Calabar Archdiocese, Most Reverend Luca Sylvester Kopep of Mina Diocese, and Monsignor Simeon Wobi, CMF, who is the newest member of the Auxiliary Order of Bishops in Nigeria. He will be serving as the auxiliary bishop-elect of Ayera Diocese. So that means we have 7 auxiliary bishops in Nigeria. So this has been a summary of events that are taking place in the Nigerian Catholic space, and if you have questions or comments, please feel free to drop them in the comment section and we'll do our best to respond appropriately. So thank you so much for watching. Talk to you soon.